There's a book older than most of the Bible, and your church has never mentioned it. What's the one thing all Christians have in common? We all read the same 66 books that make up the Old and New Testament. But what if there are other books from that time period that contain powerful messages for us today? And what if some really powerful people want to keep them hidden? Welcome to the channel. Join me as we explore ancient texts that have been lost to time and uncover shocking secrets that you won't learn anywhere else. And now, back to the video. Imagine yourself walking into the local church and you see an old priest sitting in a high-up place reading from a very old book. The only problem is you've never seen this book before. What do? You probably would ask the priest, what book is that and why isn't it in the Bible? There are many books that were considered for the Bible but were left out for one reason or another. Most of these were left out because they didn't teach things that aligned with the true gospel. However, there are certain books like the Book of Enoch that actually did get included in some early versions of the Bible but were later removed. So, what is the Book of Enoch and why was it removed from the Bible? The Book of Enoch was written between the 3rd century BC and the 1st century AD, making it older than most of the New Testament. It gets its name from the author, Enoch, who you might remember from the Genesis chapter 5. He was the great-grandfather of Noah, and he walked with God for so long that God just up and took him without him experiencing death. Many believe that this event happened around 3,286 years before Christ. Now, we don't know a lot about Enoch. In fact, we only have 2 chapters in the book of Genesis that mention him. However, the Book of Enoch tells us all sorts of things about his life, including the fact that he had a son named Methuselah, who lived to be 969 years old, and that he spent a lot of time with angels, which is kind of weird since angels aren't supposed to interact with humans. In the Book of Enoch, the author shares secrets that were taught to him by angels. Secrets like how the world will end. In Enoch chapter 84, it says, "And Enoch saw the Lord, and he fell on his face down on the ground, and the Lord said, Enoch, my servant, you have been faithful. Rise, behold, I am going to show you what is taking place in the heavens." Then Enoch was told to look up, and he saw the sun not in its place, the moon not in its place, and the stars not in their place. Instead, there was war in the heavens. What Enoch witnessed wasn't just a battle between good angels and bad angels. He saw fallen angels, aka demons, mate with human women and produce giants. This is where we get the Nephilim mentioned in the Bible. Remember when the sons of God came in to the daughters of men and had children, the giants of old, the Nephilim. That's where that comes from. So after Enoch was shown this horrible future, he prayed and asked God to deliver the righteous from the coming judgment. Then he was shown something even more terrifying. As the demons multiplied, the earth became corrupted until there were floods and fires everywhere. As the world descended into chaos, Enoch saw the stars fall from the sky. So, obviously, this book paints a pretty grim picture of our future if we don't turn away from our wicked ways. So again, if this book paints such a vivid picture of the future and contains teachings from angels, why would they remove it from the Bible? Well, as I mentioned earlier, there are many books that were considered for the Bible but were ultimately left out. As time went on and the New Testament was written, the early church started to part ways with these extra books, including the Book of Enoch. The main reason why is because there are parts of this book that go against what we know to be true. For example, the Book of Enoch claims that angels fell in love with human women and had kids with them. The Bible, however, teaches that angels don't have romantic relationships with humans. Also, the Book of Enoch is considered pseudepigraphical, meaning it was written by someone claiming to be someone else. In this case, Enoch. Since the author wasn't truly Enoch, this disqualified it from being in the Bible. But the biggest reason is because the Book of Enoch contains a lot of misinformation. Remember that this book was written hundreds of years before Christ, and during that time, many people were writing books claiming to be ancient prophets. They would write books filled with all sorts of revelations and teachings that were supposedly given to them by God, but they weren't true. and over time it became harder and harder to tell what was true and what wasn't. So eventually the early church decided to stop using these books altogether. So while the Book of Enoch does contain some interesting stories and teachings, it shouldn't be considered part of the Bible. Why? Do you think they wanted this book hidden? Let me know in the comments below, and subscribe if you want to see what else they erased from history.